a congressman for Minnesota's 1st District for 12 years, and now sharing his thoughts with us on the Al Travis Show. It's Congressman Gil Gutknecht.
Absolutely love it when he can come on the program with us. Congressman, how are you today?
I am good, thank you.
Good. You watched that precarious state? Did you see that Rick Capcella video, a movie? Well, it isn't a movie. Documentary that they played across the state of Minnesota here last week. Did you watch it?
60 Minutes, yeah. I watched it. It was painfully accurate, I think. And I congratulate the producers because not only was it well done, it was incredibly well documented. And I understand you're going to have him on tomorrow.
Yeah.
I hope you get a big listening audience. For those who didn't see it, I think he can do a great job of describing some of the facts that they've uncovered and maybe encourage people to watch it because it's out there on YouTube right now.
Yeah. The thing that gets me about it, and maybe I'm just getting real pessimistic because, as I do this show every day and we talk about all the things going on, more fraud in the state of Minnesota. I don't know if you caught it. We literally gave $20 million to nonprofits that didn't exist in the state of Minnesota. They weren't even registered. We just sent them money. Anyway, I'm getting to the point where I don't know if the lines aren't drawn too hard. You watch that precarious state and you're like, you've got to be kidding me. I mean, like you said, they'll give a fact and then they'll show where they got the fact and how that leads and people that are affected by it. It would affect you if you watch it. But I'm going to tell you, Congressman, I think folks that want to know watched it. Kind of like the fall of Minneapolis, right? The video that Collins did. Those that were on the other side, they didn't watch it. Oh, that's all propaganda. I don't know how many people watched this with an open mind and said, I want that information. You know what I'm saying? Or they're saying, you lied to facts.
True. I think none are so blind as those who will not see. I mean, people don't see what's going on, and it's obvious to about half of Minnesotans. It's very obvious that things are going in the wrong direction. Whether we're talking about reading skills or whether we're talking about crime, part of the problem, with the fraud and everything, is, and it was said many, many years ago that a democracy can only survive until the masses realize that they have the keys to the treasury. And what we have in Minnesota, we've got so many people, for years and years and years. And what made Minnesota, in many respects, is sort of a shining light, a North Star, if you will, that, we had 98% of the people were pulling the wagon and 2% were riding in the wagon. Now we've got a situation where there's so many people riding in the wagon and they think that the government is a cow to be milked rather than a cow to be tended. And, we're at a very, very precarious tipping point. And I think hopefully that video came out at exactly the right time and was sort of the Menon skin bracer, if you remember that, the slap in the face where people say, thanks, I needed that. But we'll have to wait and see whether it wakes the people up or not.
Well, it'd be interesting to say there's two videos, movies, documentaries that have come out about Minneapolis itself and your biggest city in a state. Folks are going to have to catch on. If Minneapolis falls, the rest of the state's going to be dragged down with it, right? It's your biggest city. We have to keep Minneapolis as a hub for this entire state. I don't think we can survive if it becomes Detroit-like for any length of time.
Yeah, no, I think that's true. What really happens, and it's in the video as well, what we've been doing in Minnesota for the last 20 years, and it's only accelerated, we have been exporting wealth and importing poverty. And you can't do that forever. I mean, we need wealth. We need investors. We need businesses. We need people who are entrepreneurs who can, make things happen. And if you look at the people who have left, and I know some of these people, they were the entrepreneurs. They were the ones who risked the capital. They're the ones who built businesses. They're the ones who hired people. They're the ones who created this higher standard of living that Minnesotans became accustomed to. But what we're seeing really is that on average, the standard of living for the average Minnesotan is going down. I mean, they can't afford what they used to be able to afford, whether we're talking about groceries or healthcare, or even to pay the insurance and the taxes. So, this can only go on so long. And I think we're really at a very serious tipping point in Minnesota. And we'll have to see what happens in the next election, because if things don't change fast, we will have gone beyond the tipping point.
Fair enough. I thank you for being on the program. This continuing resolution, this government shutdown, if we can talk about it for a minute.
Well, let me interrupt you. Okay, it's
Good.
not a government shutdown. The government is not shut down. Okay, what we have right now, and this is the legal term, we have a temporary furlough of non-essential federal employees.
Eh,
Let me say
Okay.
that again. Okay,
I
a
love it. Go ahead.
temporary
Say it.
furlough of non-essential federal employees. And if you look at it that way, most Americans would say, I can live with that. Okay,
Yeah.
because the Social Security checks are still going to go out.
Yeah.
Medicare is going to get paid, maybe a little
Yeah.
slower, but most of the things that the people of the United States depend on from the federal government will continue to happen.
Yeah.
ICE is completely funded. The military is completely funded. So the things that we count, the post office is going to deliver the mail. And you're right. You may not be able to go to a national park.
Yeah.
There are other things that you may want to, if you need a passport from the State Department. You're not going to get it. So there are a number of things that the federal government is not going to be doing, but most of the essential services that the federal government provides are still going on.
Okay. Here's what gets me about it, because again, I hear what you're saying. I got you. Good friend puts a meme out there that says, if you're still behind this, then you are either you're either rich, stupid, or a racist. That was the post. And I'm a friend of mine, and I've known this guy for 100 years. And I said, well, I'm not rich. I know I'm not stupid. So I must be a racist for all this. And you need to explain it to me. And then dead silence. It comes down to, as I understand this bill, this continuing resolution, this is the same bill people have voted on 13 prior times. Now, as a conservative, I'm mad as all get out. I want Republicans to get 12 bills done, appropriate them, get them done and be done. This continuing resolution thing is crap. This is a bill passed back in the Biden era. These same Democrats who won't vote for it have voted for it multiple times, but now they want to stop everything because the big, beautiful bill said if you're 45 years old and a man and incapable, you don't get Medicaid. If you're an illegal, you don't get Medicaid. We're going to stop everything because of that? And okay, take advantage, Trump. Get your 12 appropriations bills done. I'm not happy, and my buddy on the other side, he's not happy, and I must be a racist because of it. That's all that's left.
Well, yeah. I mean, your friend has swallowed the Kool-Aid. Okay?
Yeah.
I mean,
Yes.
he really believes what the left is putting out, and that is that, if you don't want to give more money, essentially if you scrape away all the layers of this onion, what it really comes down to two things. First of all, I do believe that the Speaker Johnson hit it correctly when he said that the biggest driver of this shutdown is the fact that Chuck Schumer is terrified of his ultra-liberal base. And he's very concerned that he's going to be primaried next year. And beyond that, he thinks he could lose that primary. Now, if you've been in Congress, first in the House and now in the Senate, like Chuck Schumer has for 44 years, this is his life, okay? The idea of him losing in a Democratic primary is unthinkable to him. So he's going to do everything he can to try and placate, the AOCs of his party to make sure that he's showing that he's fighting against Trump and the Republicans. But to coin a phrase that I think originally it was General Ulysses Grant, after one of the battles, he said it was a dumb fight, dumbly fought. Okay, and this is a dumb fight, dumbly fought by the Democrats. They're on the wrong side of this issue because, as I say, and I'm going to get down to scraping away some of the layers of this onion, and maybe we need to take a break and we can come back and talk about it after the break because what they're acknowledging some very important things, and we need to get to that.
I absolutely love working with guys who've done this before. You see my eye look over here because I got to look at the clock, and you know it's break time, and you cut into it. You are good, my friend. Whenever you get done doing whatever you're doing, you're going to come do radio with me every day. I would love it. I've got Congressman Gil Gutknecht. More right after this.
Think about it. A famous politician once said, "You're entitled to your opinion, but you are not entitled to your own facts." But in a world full of AI and fake news, where can Minnesotans find the facts? Center of the American Experiment is Minnesota's go-to source for fact-based analysis and common sense solutions for taxes, energy, public safety, and our kids' education. Visit AmericanExperiment.org for more information. Think About It is brought to you by Center of the American Experiment, Minnesota's think tank.
You need a friend at the Capitol who knows how to get things done.
And you're in luck, because that's exactly who we are, your friends at the Capitol, and we deliver results.
At Momentum Advocacy, we bring decades of experience in lobbying, public affairs, and crisis communications.
From local nonprofits to national corporations, we help you move policy, manage your media, and make your voice heard.
We're not just seasoned pros, we're essential partners.
Momentum Advocacy, your friends at the Capitol. Learn more at momentum-advocacy.com.
Don't need to ask him his opinion more than once. Al Travis on the Al Travis Show.
We've got him, Congressman Gil Gutknecht. And you were saying, sir? What a great lead-in.
We're talking about the temporary furlough of non-essential federal employees, otherwise known, quite widely as the government shutdown. And I was involved in several of those. One of them lasted, I think, 26 days. But this one is about two things. First of all, it's about placating the left base of the Democratic Party to demonstrate that they are fighting against Trump and the Republicans, which, as I say, I think it's a dumb fight, dumbly fought. And if you get inside of what this is really about, and the Democrats, to their credit, have essentially said this is really about health care. Okay. Mm-hmm. And I'm willing to acknowledge that. It is, from their perspective, it is about health care. And it's really about who is going to be subsidized by the taxpayers. And what they're really saying is we need another $1.5 trillion over the next 10 years to pay for health care this year for people who otherwise were never intended to qualify for government subsidized health care. And now, any way you slice it, that's what this is about. And whether it's illegals, I mean, they may hate the sombrero memes, but the truth of the matter is, Trump has done a marvelous job of really underscoring that Medicare, Medicaid, a lot of the other government benefits were never intended to go to people who had come into this country illegally.
Yep.
And so that's number one. But secondly, indirectly, the Democrats are acknowledging that Obamacare has failed because they need extra money to subsidize the Obamacare system. Now, the Obamacare system was designed to save money on healthcare. Now, just a show of hands, all the people who are listening to this radio show, raise your right hand if you got your $2,500 or if you've seen your healthcare costs go down.
Yep.
The truth of the matter is healthcare in the United States especially has continued to go up. And I can go off on a little bit of a tangent here because one of the biggest problems with Obamacare is that it didn't deal at all with one of the biggest drivers of healthcare costs in the United States. And that is the ludicrous prices that Americans are forced to pay for prescription drugs. It was a devil's bargain that was reached between the Obama team and Big Pharma that we wouldn't do anything to try and control runaway costs for prescription drugs. So if you take one of the biggest drivers of runaway healthcare costs in the United States and you take that off the table, why would you be surprised that 8-10 years down the road the train is going off the tracks? So that's where we are, and it is about healthcare, and it is about who's going to get government subsidies, and it is about the fact that the Obamacare system was a failure, and frankly was probably designed to be a failure from the very beginning. And what the Republicans are saying is we're not going to subsidize people who are in the country illegally, and we're not going to subsidize healthcare for able-bodied Americans that were never designed to receive Medicaid. And more importantly, we're not going to subsidize the failures of the Obamacare system. We can talk more about healthcare sometime, but that's what's, I think, at stake in this shutdown. And I think at the end of the day, the overwhelming majority of Americans, once they clearly understand what this is all about, will come to the conclusion that the Democrats are on the wrong side of history here.
So you're going to tell me that you think Trump and the Republicans will win this little skirmish here. Let me ask you this, though. Trump evidently says that he has the ability, now that the government is shut down, to eliminate non-essential workers. Does that card fall in his hand? Has any other president done this? We went into a shutdown or a furloughing of non-essential employees and gone into this and then started eliminating things because there was no budget for it. Is he literally allowed to do that? I was stunned that I haven't heard this happen before. At least I don't recall it ever happening before.
Well, he is the chief executive of the federal government. And the CEO of any company can, cut out some of the dead wood from time to time. In fact, every healthy corporation from time to time, tries to cut back what we call bureaucratic inertia. Bureaucratic inertia happens in every organization. I mean, as the companies get older, they continue to add departments, they continue to add staff. And at some point you come back and say, wait a second, do we really need that many people, especially now that we're using computers? For example, in a lot of the government agencies, I remember when I was there, I was the chairman of a subcommittee that oversaw the administration of the Department of Agriculture. I was shocked to learn, that we were the second largest employer in the federal government. I was surprised to learn that in Superior National Forest, up in northern Minnesota, we have 110 people to manage that forest. And I asked the administrator up there, what do all these people do? Well, he didn't have very good answers. So at some point, you do have to look at the organization and you have to prune some of that dead wood. And whether or not the president legally has the power to do that will probably be subject to some court rulings. But my own opinion is, as CEO and president of this company, he has the right to do that. And just because nobody's ever done it before doesn't mean that he doesn't have the power to do that.
Well, this guy looks at all this stuff differently. I'll give you that. I just, we've had how many shutdowns? You were a part of them. And I just remember the president saying, well, as long as I got the key now, because it's all in my hands, I'm going to do this. It'll be interesting to see if he does, and I think very interesting to see what the Supreme Court says about it after it's over. I appreciate you, my friend. I don't know if you know it now, but we're almost out of time. I love having you on the show. I thank you for taking the time to do this with me. I really do.
No, it's my pleasure.
He is Congressman Gil Gutknecht on the Al Travis Show.
Braver Angels, Minnesota.